President takes firm stand on the Treasury bond scam. Ministry Secretary to probe a statement made by Director General of the Government Information Department, Lanka challenging a Newsfirst news report.
This question of parliamentary leakage is just a red herring that is being dragged across, or maybe a method of intimidation. Now, if that is so, it's a serious matter.
Anti-corruption front reveals Finance Ministry meetings attended by Arjuna Mahendran. Heavy rainfall across many areas.
A very good evening and welcome to Primetime News. My name is Ravi Gamage.
And I'm Maina Bongza. Ravi, it's good to have you with us here after quite some time on Primetime News. Let's start off with the stories that's making the headlines tonight. President Maithripala Sirisena today made a statement on the parliamentary debate on the Treasury bond scam. The president was speaking at an event held to unveil the Alkana Buddha statue at the Abhayarama Historic Temple in Narahempita today.
Yesterday in Parliament, a debate got underway on the central bank Treasury bond scam. From my point of view, what I witnessed was that both sides were blaming each other.
ඊයේ විවාදය දෙගොල්ලම අර ගමේ භාෂාවෙන් කියන දෙගොල්ලම නෑව කියලා තමයි මම දකින්නේ.
I seek the permission from the Chief Prelate of Bellamvilla. The Venerable Thero had noted that commissions is lie. Please pardon me for responding to that. I appointed the commission after obtaining the advice of the topmost legal intellectuals in the country. External investigations without a commission would drag on for several years. That is the reality. After this scope report is taken up in Parliament, it is a practice to direct it to the Attorney General. This afternoon, the Speaker contacted me and informed me that the decision of Parliament will be directed to the Attorney General in the coming days.
The President also commented on several decisions made in the recent days.
I'm not prepared to engage in governance according to the needs of others and other countries. I have mentioned it before as well. Statements were made on homosexuality. It was presented to the cabinet and it was I who cast its side. Another cabinet paper to legalize prostitution was also presented and it was I who cast it aside. I made those decisions. I can also mention about several other things that are harmful to the country and were rejected by me. I also made decisions for the country. It was I who put out Arjuna Mahendran. It is I who appointed Dr. Kumaraswamy, who is recognized worldwide, to that post. I must make it clear. It was I who appointed the Auditor General, who has come under criticism of certain groups of persons. The whole country accepts that the Auditor General is a talented and honest officer. The whole country accepts that Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Kumaraswamy, is a talented person. It was I who made those appointments. Therefore, I am executing my task properly. If there are shortcomings, I am prepared to correct them. But if one commits a wrong, be it from the government or opposition, I am not prepared to protect them. I will take all necessary decisions regarding that.
Secretary to the Ministry of Parliament Reforms and Mass Media, Nimal Bopage, says an investigation will be launched with regard to a statement made by the Director General of the Government Information Department challenging a Newsfirst news report. Nimal Bopage further says that he was not made aware of the issuing of such a statement.
Yesterday, Newsfirst carried a report questioning whether former Governor of the Central Bank, Arjuna Mahendran, was holding a government position. The independent television network aired a news report last night based on the statement issued by the Director General of the Government Information Department with regard to the report aired by Newsfirst. This is incidentally not the first occasion in which the independent television network had reported on Newsfirst on its news reports. During the previous government, there were many instances where the independent television network carried false and malicious reports on Newsfirst. During the run-up to the presidential elections, the independent television network aired false reports on a daily basis, targeting incumbent President Maithripala Sirisena. Most of the news reports aired by the independent television network at that time caused defamation to incumbent President Maithripala Sirisena on a personal manner. Starting yesterday, the independent television network had once again resorted to its practices on News First. The Ministry of Mass Media had responded to the news report made by the independent television network. The ministry to the secretary says that views expressed in the statement are the personal views of the said individual.
In relation to such matters, statements must be issued with the knowledge of the Secretary to the Ministry. Decisions can only be made after the Secretary to the Ministry has taken a decision. However, I was not made aware of this matter. This can be termed as the personal view of the said official and not the official view of the Ministry of Mass Media. Issues arose after statements were made in such a manner on previous occasions as well. They were later withdrawn. Therefore, I believe that I have a special duty to investigate this said statement. If this statement has caused you any distress, I am saddened about it. As the Secretary to the Ministry of Mass Media, I have a greater responsibility with regard to media institutions if baseless statements are being issued. I promise to look into this in the future. As the Secretary to the Ministry, it is I who has been vested with that power. On previous occasions, journalists and media institutions have questioned me on the statements issued under the name of the Director General of the Government Information Department and not the Ministry Secretary. I was not made aware of that and I will look into it. On behalf of the Government Information Department and the Ministry of Mass Media, as the Secretary to the Ministry, I promise to look into this and take the necessary steps.
Incidentally, the date mentioned in the communique issued by the Director General of the Government Information Department was incorrect.
So the letter is dated 25th of January 2017. You request the media to act responsibly, and yet the date mentioned here is wrong. Isn't this itself irresponsibility? Speaking on our Newsline program this morning, senior lawyer Gominda Astri criticized government officials who issue such releases by mentioning parliamentary privileges.
I think it's very wrong, and it is even maybe an offence for a third party, a government official, to be using parliamentary privilege as a cover to make accusations that may be possibly directed at another person on parliamentary privilege, and that could give rise to a parliamentary privilege issue in itself. So I think what will happen is not there. This question of parliamentary privilege is just a red herring that has been dragged across, or maybe a method of intimidation. Now, if that is so, it's a serious matter.
Although it was stated that Arjuna Mahendran does not hold any government position, the Anti-Corruption Front challenged it once again today. In a letter addressed to the Secretary of the Ministry of Finance mentioning certain dates, the Anti-Corruption Front has sought clarification with regard to Arjuna Mahendran's participation at those meetings. Based on what was said by Minister Malik Samaravikrama using parliamentary privileges yesterday, Arjuna Mahendran has not held any positions. However, at the meeting presided over by R. Paskaralingam and Minister Ravi Karunanayaka at 5 p.m. on the 11th of July 2016, the attendees list reads R. Paskaralingam, Dr. Samaratunga, and the name of Arjuna Mahendran is right above the monetary board. His name is the 6th on the list. What was Arjuna Mahendran doing at this meeting? When attending these meetings, Arjuna Mahendran does not include his name into the register. However, he is seated in the corner of the row to the side of the minister. There was a meeting at the Ministry of Finance on the 1st of November 2016 when duties are assigned. Those who execute them and those responsible for it are noted down in the minutes of the meeting. For the tasks at the central bank, it is mentioned as Arjuna. Here it notes as AG as Arjuna Mahendran. Based on this official document, it is clear that the Arjuna Mahendran is known as AM. Days before the crucial decisions were to be made with regard to the microeconomics in the country, a meeting was chaired by Minister Ravi Karunanayaka. Then comes the present governor of the central bank, Dr. Indrajit Kumaraswamy. However, this individual's name is mentioned third above the names of the other senior central bank officials. Yesterday, the Government Information Department released a statement with the signature of Hilmi Mohammed. It says that the Sirsa Media Institution will be dealt under parliamentary privileges. The matter that took place on Tuesday morning has led to this press release. The Anti-Corruption Front directs this letter to the President. There is no way that a response can be given on that day. There is no way that the truth can be concealed. They finally tell the media that they will be dealt with under the parliamentary privileges. So has the media institution committed this act?
එතකොට මේ කටයුත්ත කරලා තියෙන්නේ මේ මාධ්‍ය ආයතනද? පාර්ලිමේන්තු වරප්‍රසාද වලට
Do not point the finger at the journalists and the media institutions using parliamentary privileges as cover. Respond to the questions that they raise. Is Arjuna Mahendran still a responsible official of this government? That is what they ask. That is a fair question. On certain press releases of the Prime Minister, it is said that the 10-year plan will be headed by Arjuna Mahendran. Whose signature is placed with regard to the sale of lands in Hambantota? It is Arjuna Mahendran's. We caused the 2015 transformation to reveal these things.
The father-in-law and the son-in-law have looted over 6,000 million public funds. The ministers and MPs who enjoy these perks must keep in mind that it was public funds that were looted. We made this statement to every politician working to protect Arjuna Aloysius and Arjuna Mahendran. They are traitors committing acts of treachery. As the Anti-Corruption Front, we make this statement without any fear.
The Speaker of Parliament elaborated on the next steps that will be taken with regard to the COPE report on the central bank bond scam.
Please be informed that a decision on the matter will be reached by the Honourable Members of Parliament. If you agree, we can present this report to the Attorney General. During the past 10, 15 or 20 years, COPE reports were tabled in Parliament, but not a single report was presented to the Attorney General. Therefore, I thank the Speaker for taking this initiative. I request for steps to be taken on how follow-up action could be taken by the Parliament after the COPE report is presented to the Attorney General. This also involves the Police Department. I believe that you should present this to the Attorney General as well as the Inspector General of Police. However, this is your prerogative. I request for a sufficient time frame to be granted for the Attorney General to analyse this and report back to you. The Attorney General must forward this to the Police Department.
Still in local news, trade unions supporting the joint opposition convened a media briefing today.
Arjuna Mahendran කියන එක හොරෙක් බව දැන් බොහොම පැහැදිලිනේ. හොරකම කෙරුවේ රනිල් කියන එකත් කිව්වා නම් ඉතින් එහෙනම් හොරාවගේ අම්මාගෙන් පේන අහන වගේ වැඩක් මේක දැන්.
No matter what is being done regarding this issue, it is clear to the people of this country that Ranil Wickremesinghe is part of this robbery. By taking over an institution that comes under the purview of the Finance Ministry and then appointing a person who is not a citizen of this country, this is because it is easy for him to escape punishment.
As you say, he has been removed from the advisory position, but he is always around and we do not know what the relationship is. It is up to you to decide. We do not know anything.
Such a relationship, as this said.
Views were expressed on the country's economic management at the annual general meeting of the National Chamber of Commerce last evening.
I'm humbled to be here today, and in that enlightening speech of Dr. Harsha, who spoke about the global dimension and the fact that he plays a great role in managing our economy at present. So, I'm sorry, Harsha, if he says no, but I mean, we all have to collectively take responsibility with the economy. As you know, the country today, the general public, politicians, the media are very proactive. But have you all carried out your responsibility? I just thought, since I'm no match to Dr. Harsha when it comes to the economy, I think I know very little about the economy, but I thought I'll leave these thoughts with you all. Today we are very transparent, we are very open. Not that there are no issues, but within the government, we dissent, we express our views. Today, Cabinet is open forum.
The annual general meeting of the National Chamber of Commerce was also attended by Deputy Minister Harsha De Silva, as well as a distinguished gathering.
Minister of Megapolis and Western Development, Partly Champika Ranawaka, visited the chief prelates of the Yaskiri and Malwata chapters in Kandy and thereafter expressed his views to the media.
We should punish those who have committed wrongdoings in the past. We must do the right thing today. We have a moral duty to rectify our mistakes. We have to punish those who engaged in fraud or corruption during this regime and show the purity of the government. That is how we will gain the capability to punish those who committed wrongs in the past. We should definitely punish those who are responsible. We should recover the money. It is impossible for this company, which earned a profit of 310 million rupees in October 2014, to have earned a profit of 2,400 million rupees in September 2016.
Convener of the Anti-Corruption Front, Wasantha Samarasinghe, expressed the following views to Newsfirst during the 7 p.m. prime-time news bulletin aired on our sister channel, Sirsa TV.
The debate on the central bank bond scam has taken centre stage once again. I saw on news the way the President expressed his views in this regard. We also witnessed an instance where the Prime Minister informed that the former central bank governor was leaving the country for a wedding. Steps have not been taken to make this presidential commission more trustworthy among the public. They did not even restrict the overseas visits of Arjuna Mahendran and Arjun Aloysius. So this makes us think that this commission will also not take the needed steps in this regard. Don't let them leave the country. When measures are taken to recover the money, they might attempt to leave the country. If you don't conduct investigations by obtaining a court order to restrict their overseas visits, you will not be able to nab these rogues. And this commission will be a useless one. The March 12th movement convened a media briefing in Colombo today.
As the March 12th movement, we deal with all political parties. All the leading political parties signed the declaration. They signed promising to enforce the recommendations. However, we did not see that at all during the general elections. Due to our influence, certain candidates were denied nominations. However, the anticipated political culture or untainted political leadership did not come out. For the local government election, will we elect rogues again? Will we allow those involved in bribery and corruption enter politics? Will sand and gravel businessmen be allowed into local government politics? Or are we going to elect someone who we can respectfully address as a politician?
In more local news, residents were vocal on the issues and hardships they face when our Newsfirst team toured several villages through the Gammadda door-to-door initiative.
They come here and ask the people to hold the tape here and there. The people are then covered in mud. The measurements are taken, but nothing happens thereafter. A politician would come and ask us what we need before the polls. After that, we never see that person. Newsfirst paid heed to Voice of the People in Kirimetia Gama in Polonnaruwa under the Gammadda door-to-door initiative. These villagers who have no proper access to roads and spend most of the time in darkness as the relevant authorities turn a blind eye towards their plea. They ask us why we do not have electricity when I answered that it was due to the political system prevalent during the past 20 years. This is the state of infrastructure facilities in the Rambavava and Singhodagama villages, which falls under the Thamagkadwa Divisional Secretariat.
Welcome back to the news, and now a story that we have been following very closely. Although dry weather conditions prevailed during the past few days, the Department of Meteorology says that in the coming days, rainy weather could be expected across several places over the island.
The Department of Meteorology says that showers or thunder showers could be experienced in the north, north-central, western and central provinces. 3 schools in Batticaloa were closed today owing to the prevalent bad weather. Our correspondent reported that the schools were closed down along with the stretch of road from Valdavai to Mannur being submerged. Meanwhile, transportation on the Badula-Colombo railway line was disrupted owing to a rock falling onto the tracks. Our correspondent said that a rock from an elevated place in the Haliale area had fallen onto the tracks. Owing to this, the train travelling from Colombo to Badula had derailed. When Newsfirst contacted the police, it was reported that although the train engine was damaged, no injuries were reported. Measures were taken to open 5 sluice gates in the Rakkinda Ulhitiya, Dehiyatakandi area owing to heavy rainfall. Several houses in the Hangurankati area were damaged owing to the gale winds which swept across the area last night. Meanwhile, an earth slip was reported from the Haldamullu area owing to the inclement weather.
The Vijayabagama model village in Polpitigama was vested in the public under the Samata Sevana Udagamana program today. The event took place under the auspices of Minister of Housing and Construction, Sajid Premadasa.
Vijayabagama model village in the Thambudu area in Polpitigama Kurunagala is the 17th such village to be vested to the public. The provision of ownership to 18 homes as well as the distribution of housing loans worth 4.1 million rupees was held in line with the event. If there was a prosperous development that took place in the country, then why weren't the houses built? Why weren't lands given to the people with no lands? Leaders back then only thought of themselves and their families. They did not care about you who brought them into power. President Maithripala Sirisena did not become a president to uplift his family. Prime Minister Wickremesinghe did not receive his post to uplift his family. Selflessness is the topmost priority of the agenda of this government, and we will continue to make it a priority. Today, those who oppose us question us about the country's development. I would invite them to come visit these villages.
According to Transparency International's Corruption Perception Index 2016, Sri Lanka has become even more corrupt. Sri Lanka was ranked at 95 out of 176 countries with a poor score of 36 when compared to 2015, when the country was ranked at 83 amongst 168 countries. The report released by Transparency International, the global movement against corruption, ranks countries according to the perceived level of public sector corruption.
When we look at the data, it's a little concerning because actually what it illustrates is that our perception of public sector corruption has really not changed much at all over the last few years. It has actually stayed the same, and this is despite changes in government. So the Corruption Perception Index is based on the input of academics, of country analysts, of business people, and when we understand all of this, we start seeing that the perceptions of corruption really are fundamentally unchanged.
India has scored highest in the South Asian region with a score of 40 and ranked 79th overall.
The Japan-Sri Lanka Expo 2017, a three-day exhibition showcasing the culture of Japan, is set to begin at the BMICH from the 3rd of February.
The three-day festival will offer Sri Lankans an opportunity to experience Japanese song and dance, cinema, food, entertainment and art. The Japan-Sri Lanka Expo 2017 will also have a special zone comprising of Japanese products and business establishments. Japanese ambassador to Sri Lanka, Kenichi Suganuma, said the festival aims to showcase Japanese culture, provide opportunities for small and medium enterprises, and revitalize Japan-Sri Lanka relations.
Japan and Sri Lanka has always been good, friendly nations. And now we are trying to revitalize the relation between Japan and Sri Lanka in many areas. And this Japan Expo premiere comes at this very timely moment. It is an exhibition about various aspects of Japan, a comprehensive exposition about Japan. And as you will hear, there will be movies by Japan and the small performance, dances, chado, flower arrangement. So many aspects of Japan will be exhibited. And you will see also some of the Japanese business coming, and also you will be introduced to the way of life in Japan, and you will be able also to enjoy Japanese food.
Organizers of the event said action-packed entertainment including Japanese taiko and dance, live Zomo performances, kimono fashion shows and popular Japanese movies such as Oshin, Seven Samurai and Samurai Hustle are lined up for visitors. Ayako Kobayashi, the actress who played Oshin, a household name in Sri Lanka, is expected to grace the opening ceremony as a special guest on the 3rd of February. The exhibition is being jointly organized by the Japanese Embassy in Sri Lanka and the Sri Lankan Embassy in Japan.
In other local news, a workshop for the conservation and management of wild elephants took place yesterday.
The event was attended by prominent personalities in wildlife conservation. Matters pertaining to the internalizing elephant ranging patterns were discussed at the event. The event was organized by the Wildlife and Nature Protection Society of Sri Lanka, which is 123 years old. It is incidentally the third oldest non-governmental organization of its kind in the world and was responsible for the setting up and administration of the first national parks in Sri Lanka and of the formation of the Department of Wildlife Conservation.
Two of Australia's leading classical musicians performed in Colombo last evening to celebrate the 70th anniversary of Australia-Sri Lanka bilateral relations.
The concert was held at the Bishop's College Auditorium last evening and saw the participation of many music lovers. The two Australian musicians, both veterans in their own genres, captivated the audience with their melodies. Slava Grigorian is a world-famous classical guitarist, while Sharon Draper has been the cellist with the Australian String Quartet since 2013 and has toured extensively with the Australian Chamber Orchestra. The 70th anniversary between the Australian and Sri Lankan governments will feature a range of activities in Australia and Sri Lanka in 2017, focusing on commerce, art, photography, sport, film and literature.